talking Liberty University football on the Sports Buffet. Each week I've had a different person, but now we're going back to Old Trusty. That's what we call him these days. Nick Pierce. Hey, how about them Flames?
Old reliable.
Old reliable.
I don't know if we'd say reliable, but he's there.
I said trusty, but you know.
Old Gray Marion, what you used to be, right?
We'll call him old available.
There we go.
The Flames have been very trusty lately. ODU, take me through the game. I don't know. Take me through the game. You tell me what you saw.
Well, the Flames, I don't know. It was a tale of two halves when you look back at the game. At least for the Flames offense. In the second half, it looked like they were able to establish much more consistency. Made a change at quarterback at halftime with Caden Salter coming out, Jonathan Bennett going in. Salter was a little dinged up at halftime. Maybe re-aggravated that groin injury that kept him out of the game the week prior. But we saw the Flames running backs really establish some dominance and take control. And we saw the offensive line do a tremendous job of opening up some big running lanes for them. Day Hunter, 121 yards rushing, over 100 yards rushing for Shedro Lewis. Hunter had 3 touchdowns when it was all said and done, 2 of them rushing. So I think there was a lot to be pleased with. 478 yards of total offense, 38 points scored, both of those season highs. And the defense did enough, right? Gave up some explosive plays, but for the most part, did a good job getting some pressure to Hayden Wolf, the quarterback, and got another takeaway. Rocket Rahimi, 3rd straight game with an interception for him. Flames now with a turnover, at least one in every game this season. Top 5 in the country in turnovers forced. So overall, I think a 2-touchdown win on the road against a Group of 5 school is about all you can ask for, especially when you're dealing with some of the injuries and the inconsistencies or the revolving door that has been at quarterback for the Flames this year.
How good is Day Hunter?
I think he has a chance to be special. He was Hawaii's leading rusher last year. He's just a fun young man to be around. Infectious spirit, always has a smile on his face, has been from day one. Has the ability to go out there and really kind of be an every down kind of back. And those I feel like are getting more rare these days in football, but he can absorb contact. He can go out there, make you miss. Did a great job on a couple of runs here this past weekend of, being patient, letting the play develop in front of him. And then there was one of those touchdown runs where there was a bad snap. The ball went into the ground, and he was still able to make something out of it after getting the handoff. So he's been special, probably the first half offensive MVP, if you had to give that trophy to somebody. He's got a touchdown, at least one in last 4 games now. You look at his numbers on the year, 458 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. I mean, he's on pace for a 1,000-yard season. He's been really good.
To me, Hugh Freeze's biggest challenge this week is keeping them interested against a team that they should really beat in UMass. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think every coach fights that battle when their team is favored. But one thing Hugh Freeze does pretty well is he's transparent with his team. He's honest with them. He said, look, guys, this is a game we're supposed to win. Everyone says that we're favored, and Flames are, at the time of this, I think still a 24.5-point favorite going into this game with a 1-4 UMass team that has a first-year head coach, but Don Brown's a veteran, first year back there. I think that he's been pretty upfront with his team about what it is, but also he said, look, that doesn't mean anything. Right. You still have to go earn it. And if anything, the Akron game should be evidence of that. 26.5-point favorite. Didn't matter. Flames got out of there with a 9-point win, and they never ask you how. They just ask you how many at the end. So you take that, but this is a game where you don't want it to be close. You don't want to give them hope. UMass is starting to play a little bit better defensively. They have some guys on that side of the ball, some FBS transfers that can make life difficult for you. We've documented the Flames' inconsistency at offense at times this year. I don't think you want to go into halftime in a situation like Eastern Michigan did last week, where they were down 10-0. Now they came back and won the game, with a big second half, but UMass has really struggled in the second half of games this year. They've struggled offensively, but all that to say that the more you give a team hope, the more likely it is for something kooky to happen. So
it's an ugly 4-letter word. Jonathan Bennett is not going to be the guy that you're going to say is probably going to go out and throw for 350 or 375 yards. His job is to win the games. How important is it that Jonathan Bennett can kind of try to remember that?
Well, I think the biggest thing for Bennett, and Coach Freeze kind of talked about this this week, was just go out there and execute what's asked. And you're right. They're not going to ask him to go out there and throw the ball 40 times or have to go out there and do it by himself. So just be able to execute the plays that are called and what's asked of him. Look, he's a bright young man. He's a veteran. He's been in this program for a while now. He has a very good grasp and understanding of the offense. It's just going out there and doing what's asked of you. And he even said that after the game at ODU last week. He said, I'm just trying to execute the plays and just keep it simple. 7 of 9 last week passing. Didn't have to do a whole lot, but he was efficient and made some good decisions out there with some of those swing passes with the running backs and things. So, I would agree. Just don't go out there and get outside yourself and do things that are going to get you beat.
I'll talk about the elephant in the room. You could have 2 6-1 teams in Lynchburg in a few weeks with Liberty and BYU. BYU's got a little bit of a tougher road to get that done. They've got to win at Notre Dame, and then they've got to win against Arkansas. How important is it that Liberty doesn't look ahead to BYU? They look at UMass, and then next week they can look at Gardner-Webb.
I mean, it's very important. You have to take the games as they come. I mean, getting 18 to 22-year-old young men to buy into that sometimes can be difficult, especially when there's so many of them.
Getting a 43-year-old not to look ahead is also difficult.
Sometimes I think we in the media maybe look ahead to this more than the actual players and coaches do, certainly the coaches. But, yeah, I mean, certainly it's important. And, Coach Freeze talked about that this week too. He said, look, it's UMass now, and we're trying to get bowl eligible. That's the goal. And you go up and you focus and you take care of UMass. You're at 5 wins. You're 1 away. And if you can get to 6-1, then the goal is there, and anything on top of that is kind of extra at that point, right? So the schedule gets a lot tougher at that point. So I think these are 2 important games coming up for the Flames, that they stay focused, locked in, and go out and perform at a high level.
Am I the only person that's mentioned the game day potential that you've heard?
You're talking about for BYU?
Correct. You have 2 6-1 teams. It would be a big game, and there's potentially you could have 2 6-1 teams if everything breaks right. There's not a lot of big stuff on the schedule that week. Game day would be a huge boost.
I don't know. We looked at this a little while ago. I think there is some big stuff on the schedule that week with LSU playing a home game against another top 25 team, and then Oregon's at home that week.
Oregon and Washington is that week. LSU, I want to say it's either Ole Miss. I think it's
Ole Miss, yeah. UCLA has somebody that week.
I'm not trying to start things, but
look, I would love, and who wouldn't, College Game Day to come to Lynchburg, but there's some hurdles to be cleared before that happens. And first of all, I think you're right. It's got to be 2 6-1 football teams going in there, which would mean BYU at that point is probably in the top 10, maybe.
It's more marquee to me if you can get game day. Here's my stance on it. It brings more shine onto your program, which Liberty can always use. I mean, anybody can always.
Oh, sure.
Use
You don't have to convince me of the reasons why.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'll stop. But I mean, and I'm not a ESPN employee by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know that Game Day is going to want to go to the same conference and to the same school repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
They've already been to Clemson this year. Syracuse would have Clemson that week. We looked at. I would scratch that out. Now, again, we're talking about BYU has to beat Notre Dame and has to beat Arkansas.
Right.
Because if they don't, then we can table this discussion.
Probably so.
But, I mean, for Pete's sake, they're going to Kansas this week.
Yeah, Kansas is kind of a good story.
And they could lose out.
Having some success early on here. I mean, it's probably more early success than Kansas has had in the last, 15 years.
And they could lose out because that schedule is really tough the rest of the way.
Look, I would love it, but I think we got some hurdles we got to clear before we get to that point.
I mean, if anybody's listening to this that's got more pull than Nick and I do, just remember who gets the finder's fee. Me. Final thing, and always love having you. This is going to come up every year probably. There's probably going to be an SEC job open this year. Mm-hmm. I think what Hugh's doing on the mountain is wonderful, great, and I personally don't think there. I think we need to table this silly discussion, but I think it's always going to come up. Any reason that he would look to leave?
I don't know. I mean, I think the longer he's here, I think the more he maybe falls in love with the place. You know, and he's made it abundantly clear that. And what I like is the way he's put it. Is Coach Freeze has never said, "I'm never leaving." That's the way you paint yourself in a corner, and a lot of guys have done that. But he has said it would take something really special and really, you know, that I think the words he used makes his heart flutter to draw him away from here. Look, he's getting paid very well especially for this level. He's gotten a contract extension every year he's been here. The university has certainly gone out of its way to make sure he is taken care of and has the resources that he needs to be competitive, not just be competitive, but to win at this level and potentially the next level and get to the next level. And now we're moving into a conference and a chance to compete for a conference championship. Look, the pressures and the stress level that comes being in the SEC, I'm not saying that's a reason to necessarily cower away from it. I think if you're a competitor, you welcome some of that stuff. But look, I mean, the grass isn't always greener. And, you know, maybe he's really found something here that he loves. But, you know, there's been some – you talk about jobs open. We've gone through a couple of off seasons now where there's been a lot of jobs open. And lo and behold, he's still here. So – I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't say that he's never leaving, but I think the longer time goes on, maybe there's more chance that he's you know going to stay around here.
Well, he's not ancient by any stretch of the imagination, but every year he's getting older too.
Just celebrated his 53rd birthday.
Right, but it's not like he's going backwards in years to where you know, like he's a 30
None
or 40-year-old young man.
I'm certainly not. I can tell you that.
Well, I'm not either. I'm getting grayer and grayer by the day. I think what Hugh's doing is great. I think the more these wins, I mean, you got to think this is 1 point away from being undefeated.
5-0 season, yeah.
So I think that this talk is probably going to get tabled, but it's always going to come up.
It seems like it gets to be less and less over time.
Right.
That's just me. That's my observation.
I would concur. Nick, as always, we appreciate your time. Safe travels to UMass. Most famous UMass alum that you know, by the way? Not personally.
I should know this off the top of my head, and I'm blanking.
Dr.
Right
J.
now. Yes, Dr. J.
Dr. J. And then, of course, John Calipari coached them when they had Marcus Camby and Lou Rowe.
For some reason, my brain went to Andy Isabella.
Well, I got news for you. Marcus Camby and Lou Rowe ain't on that football field on Saturday either. So
no.
Should be an interesting game. And by the way, final thing, hey, get well, Barry Fink.
Yes.
That was a hit.
Absolutely. That was really heartbreaking to see. But
Yep.
Barry's a trooper. He's they put a rod in his leg. He's on the comeback. He's on the recovery. He's actually been back at work already. So can't keep a good man down.
No. Get well, Barry. Nick will talk to you down the road as well.
Thanks.